Is free speech under attack? What's driving Britain's immigration challenges and economic decline? In this insightful interview, former Prime Minister Liz Truss joins Dave Rubin from the Dave Report to unpack these critical issues. We will also share some key leadership principles around leadership in government. Before we get into the discussion, if you love diving into political issues and enjoy hearing a principled take on them, then hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe to join the conversation. It will help our channel reach a wider audience.
So what's going on with the Conservative Party in your country right now? It's a little hard to figure out, do they have the wherewithal to do
Well, what I discovered when I became Prime Minister back in 2022 is the Conservative Party would not back me up to take on the establishment. I faced a massive push against my policies from the Bank of England, from the Treasury, from all of the bureaucracy, because they wanted to carry on with net zero, they wanted to carry on with high taxes, they wanted to carry on with high spending. And there were too many people in the Conservative Party who didn't want to take those people on. That is the problem with the Conservative Party, and it's why we left office after 14 years in government with record immigration, with the highest taxes for 70 years, because those MPs were not prepared to take on the establishment and reverse the policies Tony Blair has done. So it's a bit like the rhinos in the Republican Party. You know, they went along with the establishment. They went along with things like transgender ideology, with net zero, you know, the environmental extremism. They went along with all of those policies. So what has now happened is, because a massive vacuum has been left, you've got Nigel Farage and Reform have filled that space. Right. And I think the Conservative Party is in a very difficult position, unless the only way the Conservative Party can save itself is to say, we're not going to be this party that just goes along with the status quo, that goes along with the gradual Islamification of our country, with the net zero policies, with the human rightsism. We're going to leave the ECHR. We're going to repeal all the Tony Blair laws. We're going to make the judiciary accountable. We're going to stop. We're going to leave. We're going to get rid of the Human Rights Act so we can deport illegal immigrants. Unless the Conservative Party take that type of line, they are finished, in my opinion.
Do you think there's any reason to believe that they will? It seems like the Reform Party and Nigel have taken whatever the energy would have been there. It seems like that's what's driving Nigel.
That is definitely what's happening at the moment. I mean, the next election in Britain is in 2029, so it's a long way off. So things could change.
Yeah.
You know, suddenly the Conservative Party could wake up. But I feel like I was the person with the defibrillator trying to get the Conservative Party to wake up and say, look, if we don't change course, this is what I said in 2022, if we don't stand up against the transgender ideology, if we don't stand up against the net zero stuff, if we don't start getting our economy going, we will be finished. That's what I said in 2022. They didn't want to listen. Rather than listening to me, they decided to boot me out of office because they didn't want to hear the truth. In 2024, we then got the worst election results since 1834. And now things are getting even worse because they've still got their hands over their ears. And you've got the British public is so frustrated. If you go around Britain, you will find huge frustration about the direction our country is going in.
Well, one of the interesting things that I found walking around London, this is just a few months ago, where I just saw it just did not feel like old London to me. I started asking some people, well, where is everybody? Where are the people that I consider British? Well, they're in the pubs. They're in the pubs in the afternoon, and whoever's on the streets don't quite seem like the Londoner of old. Do you think you could have done anything differently? I mean, it seems like you had the right idea, but do you think there was a way that you could have managed differently?
I think it was just, I think if you look at what happened to Trump in his first term, he faced people inside his own organization that weren't loyal to him and wanted to undermine what he was trying to do. I faced that on steroids, to be honest.
Yeah.
So Conservative MPs who were disloyal and wanted Rishi Sunak to become Prime Minister, but also the bureaucracy that were, leaking, briefing, undermining what I was trying to do, including the Bank of England, who were actually responsible. And they've since admitted that 2/3 of the market movement that took place was down to them. So I think it is pretty impossible to make the type of change I was trying to make without replacing the senior levels of the bureaucracy. So that's what I've learned. And probably, was I able to do it with that makeup of Conservative Party? No. There just weren't enough true believers on my side. That's the situation. So I faced, the type of situation that President Trump faced in his first term, of finding there just weren't the people who were willing to stand up and fight.
Do you think it has to happen sort of all at the same time with the European countries? Like, do you think that the UK and France and Germany and Holland, that they all have to reset at the same time? Because or can it happen sort of separately?
So what I hope is that Trump is the first domino.
Yeah.
And that we're going to see that domino across Europe.
Right. I think like we have it here to the backdrop of these explosions.
Well, definitely in Hungary.
Yeah.
And we're also seeing that in Italy. I think Britain will probably be the first, because we have a first past the post system. So if you do get 350 MPs with backbone, you can deliver the change Britain needs. It is possible. Whereas with France and Germany in particular, I think it's harder in a proportional representation system. So from what I see, I think Britain is most likely to have a Trump revolution first. Or maybe I'm just wishful thinking, I don't know. Maybe that's what I want, but...
Well, maybe we need a little wishful thinking, right?
Well, I think we need hope, and that's... You asked me at the start of this, why am I here? Because I want to meet fellow Conservatives who want to shake things up, who know how badly wrong it's going in Europe. And we need to work together, because the left work together. If you look at the World Economic Forum, the Soros Network, the IMF, all of these organizations... You gotta
give the devil his due. They're doing horrible things, but they know how to do it.
And they have huge resources, they have huge money, they have huge sway over the mainstream media. That's another thing we need in Britain, is a much more developed independent media to take on the mainstream media.
Change is necessary for a thriving nation. And it starts with a mindset, a bold, unyielding belief in Britain's boundless potential. Great leaders embrace this mindset, putting their people first, no matter what external voices are saying. We need a government that is focused on growth and development of the country and its people. One that is determined to keep Britain's sovereignty rather than handing it off piece by piece while paying for it at the same time. We need a government led by decisive leaders who have the integrity and commitment to do what's right for Britain. Leaders with a mindset that is focused on responsibility and practical solutions rather than rigid ideology. Leaders who lower taxes to encourage business investment and economic growth. Leaders with the foresight to prioritize energy independence, reassessing costly net zero policies to ease burdens on every citizen. We need a government with the courage to cut bureaucracy, not feed it, preserving Britain's identity and strength. Above all, we need leaders resolute enough to secure our borders, ending incentives for illegal migration and putting our nation first. It's time for leadership that inspires, unites, and builds a thriving future, making Britain truly a great place to live, work, and do business. If you have benefited in any way from this video, please subscribe, like, share, and be sure to leave us a comment.